Now quickly, let's go over this standard issue law enforcement duty belt. On this side, if you were right-handed, I'm going to show you. This would be the front. This brass would be the front. This would be about here, and then you put belt keepers in between to hold things in place. Your first line of this is called the less than lethal side. Now remember, we're not talking about civilian on civilian. We're talking about civilian on trained law enforcement, post certified, police officer standard and training. A number I was issued through the training I took. Your first line of defense is verbal force. This is called escalation of force. Google escalation of force, and then Google de-escalation of force. And learn for yourself, not from people on YouTube waving guns around. I'm not going to show any guns. It's not necessary. If someone's coming at you and they're not armed, which Mike Brown wasn't, you can pull out some hot. And when it's on, it's much quicker. I'm in no hurry because it's for safety issues. You can pull out pepper spray. You can buy different, and just remember the budget of law enforcement compared to the budget of a civilian when it comes to defending themselves. They should be provided everything they need to do their job and get it right. If they're not doing that, man. So here is the pepper spray I use. It's a law enforcement formula, and it's 5.3 what they call heat units. See it called 5.3? That's the heat units that this will generate. This is a liquid stream. Just go like that. It'll go 10 feet right in the eye and literally burn their eyes out. You never want to use this indoors. That's how strong it is. If they can't afford it, when I can, $20 for this. So, did he opt to pull this? No. Bless you, Misty. You have extra magazine rounds here. Standard is, one magazine in the weapon and then 2 extra, okay? But before it comes to that, you can pull out your taser on, remember, this is the less than lethal side, and law enforcement knows this. And you can pull this out, and you can give a verbal command, stop or I'll tase you. Now, remember, things happen quickly. That's my canine. You can just, with the flip of a switch, you can activate not only a flashlight, but a laser. See if I can get it right there on the camera. And what happens is you can buy a camera for $300, which will audio and video record everything you do. This is less than lethal. Come on, Misty. Now, really, making a video over here. That's just ridiculous. Stop, or I'll tase you. The law enforcement version of the X26 can go up to 25 feet. You can even have extra, it shoots 2 prongs. These are called blast doors. They blast out. One is sitting like this and this. They're designed to widen the further you go. And if you miss, you can have an extra one on the bottom here and reload and fire. Well, some are going to say, well, and remember, this is standard issue stuff that every law enforcement officer should carry. I know they do here where I live. And you say, well, what if I didn't have time to tase him? What if I didn't have time to pepper spray him? What if I'm in fear of my life? Well, first of all, if he's got fists, so do you. And if you're going to work, and that's my dog, I'm so sorry. If you're going to work, we're not talking about somebody at home waving their gun around, asking for your money on YouTube. If you are going to commit your life to a career in law enforcement, you better be able to, whether male or female, and no offense to anybody, and this is my personal opinion, you better be prepared to defend yourself when someone's trying to beat you down. You better be prepared. If you're not strong enough And you know, the man wasn't on PCP or anything like that, or what do you call that, bath salt stuff? No, he was just a big guy. But do you know the officer was 6'4" and over 200 pounds? Has the media told you that? Well, then, and remember, these decisions come through training, and training of what's called shoot, don't shoot scenarios, military law enforcement, over and over and over. And these guys go back out to the range all the time, training over and over and over on how to be right on that split-second decision every time. Now, if the guy's coming at you, you go to and you're in fear for your life, you can go to your lethal side if you're not strong enough to fight the person, which can happen, you know. Who'd want to go up against an MMA fighter? I wouldn't. You have these tools and these rules of escalation of force. You can escalate to what's called an ASP. It's collapsible down to this size. You know, the only thing I've ever used this for is crowd control, like this, or breaking a window with the tip. You can also pull it out. It's not long like the standard PR-24. It's collapsible. I have it out so you can see it. And they make them in different sizes. You can pull this out from your lethal side, and you should know the difference between what's on your less than lethal side and what's on your lethal side. You can pull it out, and as they charge you, my dog's never done that. As they charge you, you can come out with this monitor. And this is ridiculous. Are you serious? It could be dust, I guess. Now, if it comes to your gun, which I don't need to come on here and brag, I keep a 45 in this triple retention holder. They can't get it out. First of all, we're talking about law enforcement, not civilians. They're trained in what's called weapon retention. You never want to lose your weapon, ever. And so they're trained to guard their weapon, and they have special holsters such as this one, where it takes a press of a button and a backward motion to take it from you. But you should never ever get that close to take it from you, because you can't just walk up and pull it out. There's things designed in the correct holsters. You can see mine here. Very popular for concealed and uniformed. You can't just come grab this out of my hand. There's even little clips in here that lock it in place. But even your flashlight is a weapon. Even, do you understand that? Your keys are a weapon, which I keep right here. You know, you're always going to have a lot of keys in law enforcement. But if you do draw your weapon, and you know the guy's unarmed, do you really need to shoot that many rounds? And should, you know, I'm talking about, look, after you've went through the verbal commands, and the guy's overpowering you because he's stronger than you, and you can't blind him with the pepper spray, and you can't defeat him with the taser. Let me show you one more thing about this taser. I'll end the video. Doing this upside down here. I'm going to remove the cartridge just like that. Let's say I've missed, or some, you know, officers, it's called stripping. Just strip it. This is now a stun gun with 65,000 watts. With the flick of one finger, see this? By ambidextrous. It is now a powerful impact, they call it, stun gun. Watch. That could have went right in his chest, right in his groin, right in his neck, and he'd still be alive. But from what I understand, he didn't have one of these. Even though they're standard issue for law enforcement X26. Check it out. Start looking at some uniforms. And you know, I did this same type of video in the Meserly grant issue in Oakland, California, and people understand common sense. You're charging at me. You're clearly unarmed. You're not reaching for any weapons. You haven't produced a weapon. The first thing you want to do with an unarmed person is de-escalate. And that comes up here from years and years of training. De-escalate the situation verbally. Slowly escalate from less than lethal force to lethal force, because this is on the lethal force side for a reason. This is a deadly weapon. But if I swing at you in your shoulder right here, you know how hard that's going to hurt. And then I swing it in this shoulder, you know, because you're not allowed legally to hit someone in the head with this. That's why it's a deadly weapon. Or I take out your thighs. Remember, the whole thing didn't happen in this car. Man, and then you fall back, and then I spray you, or then I tase you. And at that point, if backup hasn't arrived and it's just me and you, if I can't get you on the ground and handcuff you, then I'm in trouble. But what I shouldn't do, and this is my personal opinion, is result bypassing all of these less than lethal ways of defending yourself, including your hands and feet. Train in martial arts, or I would get some martial arts training, self-defense training. You don't think they get self-defense training? They have arm bars. They have impact. They have ways to stop you that I just don't see them using anymore.